The Galactic Empire, a vast and technologically superior force, had set its sights on Earth. A new world, ripe for conquest and exploitation. They had observed humanity for years and concluded that Earth was a primitive planet, easily dominated by their superior technology. With this in mind, they dispatched a small but elite group of assassins, deadly, skilled, and equipped with cutting-edge technology that could outmatch any human defenses. The assassins, alien beings enhanced by cybernetics, were trained for one purpose: elimination. Their mission was simple: eliminate Earth's most influential leaders, leaving the planet open to the Empire's rule. The Galactic Empire had conquered countless worlds before, and Earth seemed like just another step in their expansion. These assassins were their best. They had cloaking technology, making them nearly invisible. They were equipped with energy blades that could slice through steel, and advanced weapons capable of taking out entire battalions. They could read minds, anticipate movements, and strike with deadly precision. It was a mission that seemed almost too easy. Earth had no defense against this level of advanced technology, and the Empire was confident the assassins would succeed. The alien warriors entered Earth's atmosphere unnoticed, landing silently on the ground, their presence undetected by Earth's primitive sensors. With no warning, they began their assault. Their first target was a high-ranking political leader, one whose influence could tip the balance of power in favor of the Galactic Empire. The assassin crept into the leader's secure location, invisible to the human guards. In a flash, the leader was dead, and the assassin vanished into the shadows, leaving no trace behind. The success was swift and silent. The assassins moved quickly, systematically eliminating more and more targets. Each assassination was clean, leaving no evidence of the invaders' presence. Humanity's leaders were being struck down one by one, their deaths causing panic but no immediate response. The Earth's forces were clueless as to what was happening. The assassins, masters of stealth, worked without interruption, undetected, unstoppable. But as the assassins moved on to their next targets, something unexpected occurred. The death of these influential leaders sparked a strange reaction from the people. There was no surrender, no immediate submission to the Galactic Empire's will. Instead, humanity began to fight back, though they did so blindly, in confusion and chaos. The assassins had not expected resistance. They had underestimated human nature, their capacity to fight for survival, even without knowing what they were fighting. Meanwhile, far from the chaos, a man who had long since left the world of conflict was watching. A war veteran who had seen the worst of human warfare, he had spent years in isolation. He had buried his old sniper rifle, once a symbol of humanity's determination, in a corner of his home, long forgotten. It was an ancient relic now, a tool of a world gone by. But the sniper knew the world would always need defenders, even if they were hiding in the shadows, and he felt something stir inside him as the news of the assassinations reached his ears. He was not the type to get involved in political matters or global warfare. He had left that life behind. But this was different. The invaders had made a grave mistake. They had underestimated humanity's will to survive. He picked up the rifle, feeling its weight in his hands as though it had never left. He tested the sights, his fingers moving over the old, well-worn surface of the weapon. This was not a tool for mass destruction, but rather a precision instrument, one that could strike with deadly accuracy at just the right moment. The man was not naive. He knew that facing these assassins would be far from easy. They were technologically superior and would not hesitate to kill him the moment they discovered his position. But that didn't matter. He had something the invaders didn't: years of experience, the sharpest instincts, and an intimate understanding of how to use the terrain to his advantage. The assassins might have superior technology, but he had something far more dangerous: the ability to think like a hunter. The sniper prepared himself. He knew that the assassins were likely moving toward their next target, and he wasn't going to wait for them to find him. Instead, he would take the fight to them. His strategy was simple: he would use everything he knew to turn the tables on these invaders. Stealth, patience, and his old rifle would be enough. As the first assassin moved closer to its next target, the sniper settled into position. He knew the exact trajectory the alien would take, the likely path it would follow to remain undetected. With his sights on the assassin, the man took a slow breath, steadying himself. The old rifle was in perfect working condition, and the sniper's aim was true. He had done this thousands of times in the past, but this time, it felt different. He wasn't just protecting a single life, he was defending the future of his planet. The assassin moved, unaware of the danger lurking in the shadows. The sniper's finger tightened on the trigger, and in one clean shot, the first invader fell. It was over before the assassin even knew what hit him. The sniper was already moving, repositioning himself to avoid detection. He had just made his first move in a game that would determine the fate of Earth. The assassins had come to Earth with the arrogance of conquerors, expecting an easy victory. But what they hadn't accounted for was humanity's capacity to fight back, to adapt, and use everything at their disposal, even the oldest and most primitive tools. This was the beginning of a war, but it was clear that the assassins had made a grave miscalculation. They were not the only ones capable of precision. The sniper would ensure that Earth had a fighting chance. The Galactic Empire's assassins had underestimated humanity, and that would be their downfall. The Earth's resistance had begun, not with advanced weapons or overwhelming force, but with the skill and determination of a single human who refused to let his world fall without a fight. The old sniper had reawakened a strength in humanity that the invaders couldn't comprehend. It was no longer just a battle for survival, it was a battle for humanity's very soul. The sniper's heart beat steady as he waited, hidden in the shadows of an old abandoned barn. The old rifle lay in his hands, its cold metal almost as familiar as his own skin. He had lived a quiet life after the wars, but with the arrival of the alien assassins, everything had changed. Humanity was under threat, and it was up to him to defend it. The invaders were deadly, but he had spent decades honing his craft, and this was where experience mattered most. His target, an alien assassin, was approaching its next assignment, a high-ranking military general who had been one of the key figures standing in the way of the Galactic Empire's expansion. The sniper had tracked the assassin's movements for hours, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. He knew these aliens well enough to understand their tactics. They relied on stealth, technology, and their ability to adapt to any situation. But the sniper had something they didn't, a mind that could anticipate their moves, an understanding of strategy that no amount of technology could replace. As the alien neared, the sniper tightened his grip on the rifle. He didn't rush. Every movement was calculated, every breath taken with purpose. The assassin was cloaked, invisible to the naked eye, but that didn't matter. The sniper had been trained to see things that others couldn't. He could feel the presence of his enemy even without seeing them. It was an instinct that came from years of training, years of fighting battles that couldn't be won through sheer force alone. The assassin moved closer, unaware of the danger. The sniper knew that his first shot would be crucial. He didn't have the luxury of a second chance. A single mistake could mean his death, or worse, the failure of his mission. The alien moved with calculated precision, its steps silent as it approached the target. The sniper's finger rested lightly on the trigger, waiting. He could feel the weight of the moment, the tension building. Then, with a sharp exhale, he squeezed the trigger. The shot rang out, and the assassin crumpled to the ground. It happened in an instant, the alien's body hitting the dirt before it could even register what had happened. The sniper had taken his shot from hundreds of meters away, his aim true. It was the kind of shot that would have been impossible for most, but for the sniper, it was second nature. He had done it thousands of times before, only this time, the stakes were higher. The fate of Earth was on the line. He didn't pause to admire his work. Instead, he immediately moved, repositioning himself in case there were more assassins nearby. He knew they wouldn't be far behind. The sniper wasn't foolish enough to believe that the invaders would be deterred by one death. They would send more, each one more determined than the last. But the sniper was ready. He had been waiting for this moment his whole life, and now he was about to show the aliens just what humanity was capable of. The next assassin came in from a different angle, using a different strategy. But the sniper was already prepared. He had studied the way the assassins moved, understood their patterns. They weren't as unpredictable as they thought. They relied too heavily on their technology, assuming it would give them an edge. The sniper knew that a weapon alone couldn't win a war. It was the mind behind it that made the difference. And he had the experience to outthink them. This time, the assassin didn't make the mistake of moving blindly. It was cautious, scanning the area for any signs of the sniper's position. It was aware that someone was out there, someone who had already killed one of their own. But it couldn't see the sniper. It couldn't sense his presence, because the sniper was a ghost. He blended into the environment, using it to his advantage. He knew how to become invisible, not by using technology, but by becoming part of the surroundings. The assassin moved slowly, scanning the area with its advanced sensory equipment. It wasn't enough. The sniper was already on the move, sliding through the shadows like a predator stalking its prey. He had the advantage of experience, of knowing exactly how to use the terrain, how to move in a way that the assassins couldn't anticipate. They thought they could outsmart him, but they didn't know the land, didn't know how to hide in plain sight. The sniper did. He found his position, set up in an old, dilapidated building just beyond the assassin's reach. His rifle was already trained on the target. This time, he didn't wait. He fired quickly, precisely. Another shot rang out, and the second assassin was down. The sniper didn't stay to watch the result. He knew the aliens would come looking for him, and he needed to keep moving. His mission wasn't over yet. He wasn't just eliminating invaders, he was sending a message. The invaders might have advanced technology, but humans had something far more powerful: ingenuity, instinct, and the will to survive. As he moved again, the sniper couldn't help but reflect on what had just happened. The first shot had been clean, a perfect kill. The second, even better. But the sniper knew that he couldn't let his guard down. The aliens wouldn't give up so easily. They would send more, smarter and more careful. He had killed 2 assassins, but there would be more. But that was okay. The sniper wasn't afraid. He had been fighting for his life and his world for too long to be afraid of a few advanced weapons. He understood something the invaders didn't, that no matter how powerful they thought they were, no matter how many assassins they sent, they couldn't break the spirit of humanity. The sniper's mind was already planning the next move. He had been forced into the shadows, but he was not a creature of darkness. He was a warrior, and he would fight until his last breath. He wasn't just defending Earth. He was defending humanity's very essence, the thing that made them dangerous. The assassins might have had the technology, but they would soon learn that it was not enough to defeat a species that would never stop fighting, no matter how many times they were knocked down. The battle had just begun, and the sniper was ready. The old rifle in his hands felt like an extension of himself, and with every pull of the trigger, he reminded the invaders that they had made a grave mistake underestimating humanity. The hunt had started, and he was the predator. The assassins would learn that they were not the only ones capable of precision. The sniper had a score to settle, and he was just getting started. The alien assassins were beginning to feel the pressure. They had expected Earth to be a simple conquest, a planet ripe for the picking. But the humans had proven themselves unpredictable. The sniper's actions had disrupted their carefully laid plans, and now they were starting to realize that this wasn't going to be as easy as they had anticipated. The Galactic Empire's elite warriors had been trained to deal with countless threats across the galaxy, but they had never encountered anything quite like this. The sniper had taken out 2 of their own, and their failure was starting to weigh on them. Their superior technology, which had once made them feel invincible, seemed useless against a force they couldn't even see. Each assassin was more cautious than the last, hesitant to make a move without considering the possibility that the sniper was waiting for them. They had underestimated the human. They had assumed that humans were primitive, easily defeated by their advanced weaponry. But the sniper had proved them wrong. He didn't rely on brute force or advanced tech. He relied on the one thing that couldn't be measured by sensors or scanned by detection equipment: his mind. The assassins knew that they had to adapt. They couldn't just keep following the same strategy. The sniper had already proven that he could anticipate their moves, that he knew how to turn the tables on them. They needed to outthink him, catch him off guard, but doing so was easier said than done. The sniper had already shown that he could use the environment against them, that he could blend into the terrain like a ghost. They couldn't rely on their advanced cloaking technology any longer. It was too obvious. Too predictable. The lead assassin, a cold and calculating being, began to formulate a new plan. They would have to split up, each going in a different direction, to confuse the sniper. One would act as bait, drawing his attention while the other set up an ambush. They couldn't afford to keep underestimating the human. If they failed again, the Galactic Empire would take notice, and the repercussions would be severe. They had to succeed, no matter what. Meanwhile, the sniper was already anticipating this shift. He knew that the aliens would begin to adapt. They would start working in teams, trying to outmaneuver him. But that's exactly what he had been preparing for. He knew how they thought. He had seen it in the countless military battles he'd fought in during his youth. He had seen armies break and reform, saw soldiers make the same mistakes over and over again. And he knew that no matter how much technology they had, they couldn't change one fundamental truth: they were not prepared for a battle of wits. The sniper knew that the best way to deal with the new strategy would be to let the assassins make the first move. He would let them believe they had the upper hand, only to turn it back on them when they least expected it. The key to victory wasn't just about shooting accurately. It was about controlling the flow of the battle, manipulating the enemy into making mistakes. That's what made him dangerous. The assassins took the bait, just as the sniper had anticipated. The first assassin moved ahead, drawing the sniper's attention while the others positioned themselves in the shadows, preparing to strike. They thought they had him trapped. The bait was moving closer, getting within range. They were ready to spring the trap. But the sniper wasn't fooled. He'd seen their pattern before. He'd known they would split up, and he'd already placed himself in a position where he could take them all down at once. He waited, counting the seconds, as the first assassin moved closer to its target. He could hear the soft sounds of footsteps, the faint hum of the cloaking technology. He didn't need to see them. He knew they were there. The first assassin was nearly in range, just a few more steps before it would be within striking distance. But as the alien approached, the sniper squeezed the trigger, and the assassin fell, its body dropping to the ground without a sound. The remaining assassins didn't even have time to react before the sniper fired again, taking out the second one with the same precision. They hadn't even seen him move. The remaining assassins froze, their plan unraveling in real time. They had expected to overwhelm the human with force, to trap him in a corner where he couldn't escape. But the sniper had already anticipated every move they had made. He had been one step ahead the entire time, and now they were paying the price for underestimating him. The lead assassin, realizing the situation was quickly slipping out of control, attempted to make a last-ditch effort. They activated their most advanced weapon, an energy-based weapon capable of leveling a building in seconds, and aimed it at the sniper's location. The blast would obliterate anything in its path. They had no choice but to use their most powerful weapon now, hoping it would end the battle in their favor. The sniper saw the movement. He knew what was coming. He had been ready for this. The energy blast fired, cutting through the air like a fiery comet. But the sniper wasn't in the open. He was already moving, his position changing faster than the assassins could track. They had underestimated his ability to anticipate their every move. He had already calculated the trajectory of the blast, already determined where he needed to be to avoid it. The sniper didn't hesitate. He moved with the speed and precision that only years of experience could give him. He dove into the shadows, avoiding the blast by mere inches. It was the closest call yet, but the sniper had already turned the tables. The assassins had used their strongest weapon, and it hadn't even come close to touching him. As the smoke cleared, the assassins were left in a state of confusion. They had lost half their numbers, their most powerful weapon had failed, and their prey was still alive. The sniper had turned their tactics against them, had manipulated them into making the wrong move at every turn. They were no longer in control. It wasn't just a battle of weapons anymore, it was a battle of wits, and the sniper had proven he was the better strategist. The Galactic Empire's assassins were starting to realize that they were no longer the ones calling the shots. Every time they adapted, the sniper adapted faster. They had underestimated humanity's resilience, and now they were paying the price for it. The question wasn't whether they could win, it was whether they could survive long enough to report back to their superiors. The Galactic Empire's assassins had been pushed to the brink. Their confidence was shattered, and the once imposing force they represented had become a group of desperate individuals trying to survive a relentless pursuit. With each loss, the assassins grew more agitated. The sniper had turned their mission into a nightmare, systematically dismantling their best-laid plans and humiliating them at every turn. They had underestimated humanity, and it was becoming clear that they were facing an enemy they couldn't control. The lead assassin, whose cold and calculating mind had orchestrated their initial strategy, was now questioning everything. Their mission had failed, and they had no idea how to respond. Each assassin had been trained to adapt, to overcome any challenge with precision and technological superiority, but this human had outsmarted them at every turn. There was no more room for mistakes. The Empire had sent them to conquer, but they were now fighting just to escape. The remaining assassins, once confident and assured, now approached their tasks with hesitation. Their cloaking technology no longer offered the advantage it once did. The sniper had already demonstrated his ability to see through their tricks. The advanced weapons they wielded, designed to obliterate entire squads of enemies, had been useless against this lone human. Nothing was working as it should. But despite the odds stacked against them, the lead assassin knew there was one final card they could play. They had been sent with a message: eliminate humanity's most powerful leaders. The sniper had disrupted their mission, but there was one last target, one final chance to prove that the Empire's will would not be defied. The sniper, however, was already on the move. His earlier encounters had given him the knowledge he needed to outthink the remaining assassins. He had expected the aliens to adapt, to change their tactics. And as he tracked their movements, he realized that they were becoming more predictable. The Empire's elite warriors had relied on their technology, their invisibility, their overwhelming power. But they were now fighting in the open, showing signs of wear and tear. They had underestimated the human spirit, and the sniper had shown them that it was a force they could never conquer. With the assassins scattered, the sniper knew the time had come for him to end this. He had played his part well, but now he needed to finish the job. He had taken down their strongest members, the ones who thought themselves invincible, and now the rest were just a formality. The sniper's mind was sharp, his instincts razor-focused. He knew exactly where they would go next. He had already anticipated their every move, and this final assault would be his. The remaining assassins had no idea that the sniper was already within striking distance. They were split up, each one convinced they were the hunter. They couldn't see the human who had already tracked their movements, anticipated their positions, and prepared to strike when the time was right. The sniper was like a ghost, moving silently through the terrain, his rifle ready. He had been preparing for this moment for days. He knew this was his final chance to send a message to the invaders: humanity would never be defeated. The lead assassin, desperate to regain control of the mission, was the first to fall. The sniper took him out with a single shot, precise and flawless, just as he had done with the others. The remaining assassins were in shock, unable to process the fact that they were losing. Their confidence had crumbled, and now, the terror of facing the sniper had set in. They had seen their comrades fall, and the thought of meeting the same fate was more than they could bear. As the final two assassins tried to regroup, the sniper closed in on them. They knew they were running out of time, but the sniper was already 2 steps ahead. He moved silently, positioning himself in a spot where he could take them both out in a single move. The remaining assassins, now fearful, tried to use their advanced technology to locate him. But it was too late. The sniper had already chosen his next target. The first shot rang out, taking one assassin down before the other had a chance to react. A second shot followed, and the final assassin crumpled to the ground. It was over. The Empire's assassination squad had been defeated, and humanity had won. The sniper stood alone, his rifle still in hand, but there was no celebration. The victory was hard-earned, and the cost had been high. Earth's defenders had proven that even against the most advanced technology, human ingenuity and willpower could overcome any obstacle. The Galactic Empire, watching from afar, knew they had made a critical miscalculation. They had sent their best assassins to Earth, thinking that the planet's inhabitants would be easily crushed. Instead, they had witnessed the power of humanity's spirit, its ability to adapt, fight back, and survive. The Empire had learned a lesson it would not soon forget: never underestimate the human will. As the last of the assassins fell, the sniper disappeared into the shadows once again. The battle was over, but the war was far from won. The Galactic Empire would undoubtedly return, sending more soldiers, more advanced technology, and more threats. But the sniper knew something the invaders didn't. Humanity would always rise to the occasion. No matter how many times they were knocked down, humans would find a way to stand up again. And next time, the sniper would be ready.